hybrids. They use a combination of a petrol engine with an electric motor for improved fuel economy, making them a great choice for families after a car that's cheap to run.
But which do you choose between the Hyundai Ioniq, the Kia Niro, and the car which started the hybrid craze, the Toyota Prius? Oh, look at me. I've gone all green. I am officially at one with the planet. Ta-da!
But which one will leave you feeling the best? To help you decide which to choose, I'm going to critique their designs.
The only thing I don't like is this kind of stuck-on plaque for the Hyundai badge.
Inspect their cabins.
It's all a bit funny.
See how practical they are.
There's plenty of room in the back of this car, you know.
And test what they're like to drive.
This one I'm driving is supposed to do 74 miles per gallon. I'm getting...
But first, let's start off with some numbers.
The Ioniq starts from £21,000, so this test car with all the bells and whistles is £24,000. The Niro starts from £23,000 and this test car I have here is £25,000. And the Toyota Prius starts from £24,000 and the test car here is £26,000 with all the kit it's got fitted to it. But what really matters is what you pay at a dealer. Click up there, go to carwow and find out the best deals you can get on these cars online.
So then, let's talk about showroom appeal. And the Toyota, well, it looks a little challenging.
I don't know who the heck signed off the design of this car, but they must have been having a really bad day because it just looks so weird. Think how many more Priuses would be sold if it didn't look like that. It's like some kind of angry fish.
If the looks of the Prius gives you a headache, then maybe the Hyundai will be more to your taste.
The Ioniq is quite a smart looking car. In fact, it sort of reminds me of the previous generation version of the Toyota Prius. The only thing I don't like is this kind of stuck-on plaque for the Hyundai badge. I mean, how much more aerodynamic does that make the car? It looks horrible.
However, it does house the radar guidance for some of the safety systems, but the Kia manages without it just fine. And overall, the Niro is quite a smart looking thing.
It says that hybrids have to look all kind of weird and geeky. The Niro is kind of like a small little cool SUV, yet it's still economical.
The Kia looks tidy on the inside too, but maybe just on the wrong side of dreary.
The first time you jump into this car, you would have no idea that it was a hybrid. Maybe that's why they put this little eco-hybrid badge there, just to alert you to the fact. It does feel all a little bit dark with the black plastic everywhere, but the quality is actually all right. The main benefit of this car, though, is the fact that being a sort of SUV, you've got that raised driving position, which gives you a good view out over other traffic. It makes you feel important, while also being slightly smug about being a hybrid and therefore saving the planet.
You can work out precisely how smug to be through the eco menu on the car's infotainment system. It gives a detailed readout about miles per gallon and even gives your driving a score. Otherwise, the system is shared with most of the other cars in the Kia range, which is no bad thing, as they're actually quite good. The system is easy to use, loading times are okay, and while it doesn't quite look as glitzy as a VW Golf's infotainment system, the graphics are clear and simple.
The interior is all right, build quality is good as well. You've got the obligatory hybrid information display such as your power gauge, your eco gauge and your charge gauges, and an energy flow diagram as well. And you've got some blue piping as well around the air vents to signify that this is one of Hyundai's most eco-friendly models. Other than that though, it's all pretty normal. It's sort of like a halfway house between a conventional car and a hybrid.
Its infotainment system is pretty conventional too. In fact, most of it is shared with the Kia, so it's just as simple to use. There's a few physical shortcut buttons along the bottom of the screen that makes it easy to find your way around. And the home screen gives a clear layout that displays the map to one side and a couple of main menu functions on the other. It's definitely a big step up on the Prius system, which by comparison is a bit of a pain to use. The graphics are dated, the loading times are a little bit slow, and the menus aren't as logically laid out. Overall, it's just slightly more frustrating to use, and it's a shame because the rest of the cabin looks kind of funky.
The best thing about being on the inside of the Prius is that you can no longer see the outside. Seriously, the interior design is unconventional, but it's suitable and it works a lot better than the outside. You can tell that it's going to be a high-tech, eco-friendly car with all the displays and stuff, and the quirky little gear selector, which is located here, and just, yeah, it's all a bit funny.
So, overall then, the Toyota's cabin is the most quirky and the Kia's is the least interesting to look at. But the Niro makes up for this when it comes to interior space.
There's plenty of room in the back of this car, you know. So, being a tall thing, there's absolutely loads of headroom, and knee room's good as well. Yeah, I could go for miles on this, no problem at all.
So then, the Kia is the roomiest car here. There's loads of head and leg room, the rear bench is nice and wide so it's easy to fit 3 people across the back, and as a bonus, the seats are dead comfy too. But unlike the other 2 cars, this is a small SUV, so it should be more spacious inside. And that brings us on to how the regular hatchbacks compare. First then, the Toyota.
It's fairly comfy here in the back of the Prius. There's easily enough room for adults, even people over 6 foot. Part of the reason for that is the fact that Toyota have cut away the roof lining, so there's space above your head, despite that sloping roofline for added aerodynamics. Clever thinking.
In fact, the only downside to the Prius is that the bench is quite narrow, so it's the least comfy here for carrying 3 in the back at once. But overall, it's fairly spacious for a car with a sloping roofline such as this one. Speaking of which...
You want to know what the Hyundai's Achilles heel is? It's this, look. If you want to sit back, that happens. You hit your head on the roofline because it just slopes. It really is quite tight back here. Not going to be good for people over 6 foot.
It's a pain to fit a child seat in the back too. The doors are fairly small and the Isofix mounts are buried behind the seat cushions. The Kia suffers from the same problem, but at least the doors are larger. The Prius is somewhere between the two in terms of rear door size, but the Isofix mounts are really easy to get to behind removable clips. The Toyota also wins the storage space race. It's got a huge bin between the front seats and a neat little smartphone slot. The Kia's glove box and centre bin are smaller, but the door bins are wider. The Hyundai has the best door bins, but then there's weird details like a narrow slot between the seats which just looks perfect for losing small items. Not really very clever, just like its boot really.
There's not really so many useful features in this car's boot. It's more of just a big space. Though under here you do have a space saver spare wheel, which is handy if you like that sort of thing.
The main problem with the Hyundai is that it's got a really high loading lip and the smallest opening here. The Prius suffers from a similarly high load lip, but otherwise it's not bad at all.
The Prius gives a good boot. For instance, it's a decent old size and it's packed full of functionality. For instance, you can store the load cover under the false floor like that, out the way. Nice.
With the load cover out of the way, it's easy to drop the seats. The backs leave quite a big hump in the floor though, but overall the capacity is pretty good. In fact, you can cram slightly more into it than the other 2 cars here. Meanwhile, the Ioniq holds 1 suitcase less, and the Kia is slightly smaller again.
The boot on this car is only average in terms of its outright size, but it is a useful square shape, and there is some more storage. Look, under there, some trays. And if I look under here, we'll find a spare wheel. Oh no, we won't actually. You can't get this car with any form of spare wheel.
And that brings us on to the fact that each of these cars has a certain selling point to set it apart.
The Ioniq is its incredible value for money. It's actually quite cheap for a hybrid. The Niro's is the fact that it comes with an industry-leading 7-year warranty, whereas the other 2 cars get a 5-year warranty. The Prius is the fact that with the 15-inch wheels, its emissions are so low that it's actually exempt from London's congestion charge, and that could save you over £10 per day.
So let's get behind the other wheel and see what the Toyota is like to drive.
The Prius really is the benchmark in terms of hybrid cars. You know, it's been around for 20 years and they've got their game down. So you can drive it in town on electric power alone for up to 36 miles an hour. And it's really smooth, it's really relaxing, it's great over bumps, it's comfy, it's easy to manoeuvre, it's everything you want a town car to be. Get out on the motorway and it's all right. Not as good as the diesel car, but it holds its own and it'll go around corners. But the big thing is the economy. So this car, I'm averaging 86 miles per gallon, and you buy a hybrid for economy, and this is nailing it. You know, some people say that hybrid cars are boring, but do you know what? I think this Prius has its own unique personality. And once you get it, you like it.
Not convinced? Well, thankfully, the Korean hybrids actually feel more conventional.
The Kia Niro is actually very, very car-like to drive. So your automatic gearbox is a normal 6-speed, so it just feels perfectly natural when it accelerates. Also, you sit up high, so you get a decent view out. You do get quite a lot of noise, though, when you're going at speed. And in town, the suspension can feel a little bit firm. Also, you can't really drive along an electric power line for very long like you can in a Toyota Prius. But really, it comes down to economy. So this car I'm driving is supposed to do 64 miles per gallon, and I'm averaging 56. So it's good, but not brilliant by hybrid standards.
However, this is still better economy than you will get in the diesel version of Kia's other SUV, the Sportage. But that tall body is always going to affect aerodynamics and therefore efficiency. So, how does the lower slung Hyundai compare?
I think out of all the 3 cars, this is the most normal to drive. Underneath the skin, it's actually very similar to the Kia Niro. You've got the same 1.6 litre engine mated to an electric motor, and I think it's a little bit better to drive. Main reason being that the suspension is a little bit more comfortable than the Niro, and because it's a sleeker shape, the body, you don't get so much wind noise at speed. Big question though, economy, because that's what it comes down to, doesn't it? So this one I'm driving is supposed to do 74 miles per gallon. I'm getting 68. Pretty good, but not the best.
So where does all that leave us?
Well, the Ioniq and the Niro are quite good, but they feel rather like conventional cars to drive. And that's where the Toyota comes in. You see, it is the best car at being a hybrid, and that's why you're buying one of these things. Improved fuel economy, and the Toyota will give you the best miles per gallon, and that's why it wins this test. Though I do have a caveat. You see, a lot of people are just going to find this thing way too ugly to ever buy, and if you're one of those people, then just get one of these cars here. They're good enough.
If you enjoyed this video, please like it, share it, and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this, and don't forget to turn your notifications on by hitting the little bell icon. Also click on the windows to watch detailed reviews of every car in this test.